Hi guys, and welcome back. And if you managed to follow me on the first stream of the year, I was going on about how to trade inside days and the importance of a few key areas that I'm going to be looking at the start of the year. So we've just had an open. I actually missed it. Just finishing off that stream, but I wasn't really planning to trade. But let's just have a look at what's been going on the open. If there is anybody. Let me just try and share my screens. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about how to trade. Let me have a look. Okay. All right, that's not what I want to be looking at, but I'll just bring it up here. Sorry, just a little burp there. Okay, so we had this big open gap. I haven't got. Let me get my charts up. What is this now? Sorry, I'm just coming off the back of my stream, and I wasn't prepared for this, but thanks for joining me if you're here. Wow, this is taking a long time. I think I've increased the number of days that I'm looking at. So let me just focus and see where was the high. Okay, so the high was up we had 3,900 as the high. We had a spike up there where we found some swift selling. There it is. So this big opening gap above last Thursday's highs. We had a very poor high there. That was likely to have unfinished business. If breached, now we're seeing it push back up. Now, this is a key area that I want to be kind of paying attention to, and I should actually be watching my footprints now. So this is an area that I will have marked out on my notes as an area of interest. So this high here, 38.83, 38.85, I want to see buyers. Now we've broken out and above, I want to see buyers stepping in, and I want to see some kind of positive reaction. Now we've broken up, we've come down the pullback. This is exactly what I was speaking about in my little seminar. But getting my charts up, I've probably missed this trade. Let me see if I would have been willing to take any action in these areas. Yeah, so what we've had here, we've had this pushback into last week's highs, and we can just see some sort of absorption. Not sure I've been willing to sort of step in there at those, given the way that these candles have formed. If we'd seen this spike lower and then base around 83, but I don't have very much cover here. Now this is a slightly better option to trade because you've got your stop just below here. So yeah, this looks nice little stop run. We had a very big gap. Wow, I didn't see that. I wasn't really paying attention. Okay, and then very quick rejection. Move back lower. This is all just profit taking. Anyone? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to find my bearings. Now, the key to all this is, we're looking for information. It's the start of the week, start of the year, start of everything. So when we're looking for new information, what have we seen so far? We've seen this, break out the weekly high, and this is exactly what we kind of wanted to see. A pullback back to the prior high, key reference point that we noted in our notes. And then we're seeing, some buy stepping in. Now, how does this go from here? It's difficult to say because, at the moment we're just 5 points off the lows. But what you want to see is you want to see some, high lows, and we start to, rotate back up to the highs of this little candle that we formed. But at the moment, not very convincingly, it's just holding just off these lows here. Quite often with these moves is, it's very it's nice to take these trades at first touch. You need to be ready, you need to be prepped. You want to be taking these trades first touch at these key levels, and you want to have like a, well, the way I do it, you want to. I'm saying you want to. The way I would trade these kind of moves is you've got to break out and you've got to pull back to a key reference point, which just happens to be the prior week's highs, which we've noted in our notes. We're convinced this is an area we want to see a reaction, a positive reaction from buyers, given the fact that we've broken above it. So first touch is quite an important concept, where I will step in at an area where I believe there should be a positive reaction from the buyers, it's not something that I advise you all to do. It takes, you've got to work out what works for you. That's something that I do, but yeah, it would have worked quite well today. All you're looking to do is get your scales off. Once you get your scales off, you can try to hold it. But this doesn't look like holding, does it, guys? Let's have a look. Right. Not really sure. If anyone's got any questions or anything, I'm just here talking to myself at the moment. I'm just going to have a look. Not sure if anyone's on here. No, not really. Okay, so this is overnight trading. That's another thing to point out, that this is, but given the fact that we've just broken above some key reference points from the prior week, let's just have a look at our notes again. Let's reference back to our notes. Always good to reference back to your notes. There's our weekly prep. And you can see that this area here was marked out, the prior week's high, and given the significance of us being in an inside week, so where do we get to? We got up to this little point here, which is the millennium number, and we've fallen back. So given the fact that we've fallen back, what are we looking for now? Now we're looking for a pushback to other key references, which would be the value area high of the prior week and the POC. Now, I suspect this move higher was driven largely by the fact that Europe had a pretty, pretty hot session where we rallied over a point and a half. I think the DAX was up 1.3, stocks up 1.8%, and we're just carrying off where Europe set the tone. So in the overnight session, I'm looking for information. I'm looking to see where, are there any areas where, we see some significant buying, selling, whether we still got this large gap to close, down 61 POC. Now, if we start breaking below that 61 area, I suspect that a lot of these longs overnight. They're already sort of, creeping out here. Might start seeing some panic and start to rotate it back to back through 61s. Not very convincing. Not very convincing so far. You really wanted to see those, prior week's highs hold there. You wanted to see some kind of an algo or somebody saying, do you know what? Now we're above this area. I'm going to hold it, but no, we're not. Remember what I said as well in my notes and in my weekly preview. I spoke a lot about how, well, in my notes I definitely did, spoke about how false breaks. Last year we had a false break. This is pretty much, a setup that we had last year, very similar going into the beginning of the year. We had a lot of consolidation, balance into the year end. We had a break above that area of balance at the beginning of the year. I think it was on the first or second day, and then we got this rejection, and then we just sort of start seeing this, start seeing all the longs late comes to the party, or the early New Year's party, sort of start panicking and start rotating all the way back through the balance range until we took out the lows very, very aggressively, where we had a very, very strong trend, which continued for days. Anyway, I didn't advertise that I'd be going live. Still a bit nervous. Not nervous, maybe not the right word, but yeah, I've been out of this for a while, and I haven't been interacting with too many others. I was doing my live streams, which I think I'm going to sort of bring back in some way or form, perhaps on the open or over some data. Okay, and that's basically what I wanted to see. I just wanted to see what happened on the open. Perhaps there were a few opportunities. Maybe not. There are opportunities. There were potential for trades, but none of them were really worked out. Unless you were planning to short up at that little high volume node on the prior week's profile, which was at the 3900. We just had a look at that. There it is there, that little point there. That's where we kind of stopped dead. The high is at 39.19, poor high as well, but we've seen sellers stepping in at this high volume node here on the composite as well. So very, very interesting. Interestingly, it also coincides with the CPI gap that we had from November. Okay, I expect us to be testing the years settle pretty quickly now, given what's been going on so far. Another thing another thing that I expected, given what's been going on in Europe, we had a pretty big rally in the Euro bonds, and so we had a pretty similar reaction in the bonds, where we've broken above the closing week, well, not the closing week's range, but the last 3 days range. We opened significantly higher with a big gap, and now we're pulling back. If we have a look at the weekly trend, or what's been going on the bonds, these are daily candles. Doesn't even look like doesn't look like very much, does it? Yeah, barely noticeable. This is what I was saying earlier in my earlier stream, that bonds are back in the middle of this pullback, very similar to how where equities are. These October lows, bang in the middle of that low to high, CPI high, October lows. We're bang in the middle of it. 50% is, I think, the POC from last week, and the year's settlement 38.61.2, somewhere around there, bang in the middle. So we're just waiting for more information. If anyone's wondering what these little pink lines are, they're not moving averages, they are rolling VWAPs. Okay, all right, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. I'm going to leave this running. I don't think I've got much more, so I've been talking for over an hour now. Really interesting open. We're just trying to get information. It's the first day of the month, first day of the week, whatever, first day of the year. It's all about information gathering. So far, what I've seen is a very very excitable beginning of the year, broken above the prior week's range, and we're just coming back inside now. So remember what I said if you watched my video. I'm looking to see how this, now we've had this pushback out of the range, we're now starting to see this pull back, and I want to see what are the reactions at the key areas. One of the key areas was the weekly range high, failed. We've pushed back through it now. Now, can sellers push back inside value? Now, where is value? Value is in this area here. So we're looking at 72s around this area here. Now, it's not exact science, but you can see that we've got this little high volume node here where we're finding some support potentially, but we want to see whether or not, we can establish a new range above the prior week's value area. This is all expected. This pullback here, I didn't expect this to sort of open out of range and just keep going. I expected a pullback. This is somewhere where I'm looking for information. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us test back to this POC, which is quite high up the range. Remember, it's a significant number because it's also the year-end close. That's just talking to myself. Right, I think I've gotten over my phobia. I think next time I'm going to invite some people on. Any questions? Pretty hard talking to yourself, I think. Don't normally run out of things to say. Okay, right. I'll leave you to it. We're looking for a test back into prior week's value, which is sitting roughly at 68. And we had last week's open at 70. So this little area here, and we had the week before that close. So this area here seems to be quite important, around the 68-70 area, between 68 and 72, which is where we're kind of pulling back into now. We want to see. Let's have a look. How are we interacting with those levels? Oops. These are just rotational point and figure footprints. I'm not sure I like them as much. I've been looking at more time-based stuff lately. Depending on how the market's behaving, I'll switch between rotational point and figures and time-based. I'll use this chart to execute off normally. So what I want to be seeing here, coming, as we're pushing back lower, okay, we're coming into the highs of Friday, which we closed on the highs at 61, which is the POC for the month and the week, I think. and the year's close at 61s. Yeah, we're coming back into this little area here. What I want to see, I want to start seeing some sort of like, selling, but I want to see some pushbacks against that selling from buyers. I want to see buyers stepping in. Now that will give me confidence to take take a trade higher. We've seen this big move. We've pulled back considerably now, 30 odd points. That's a big old move. Now, what was a little bit surprising, so we opened up here. This was the open. You see it's like big volume. That's where everything gets netted off. And it just sliced straight through it. Straight through it. Absolutely. I mean, that's your key. That's your key. If I was paying attention there, that's something I've missed. I haven't really noticed that until now. That's something, it's much easier to look at it now, but that's something, you've got to say to yourself, right, okay, people were willing to buy up here. They're willing to net off, flatten off positions, whatever, but there was no one willing to step in at these levels. So whoever was willing to buy up here was clearly wrong. Yeah, and 60 lots were lifted up at these highs, but no one wanted to take it one tick higher above 3,900. Not one tick. Stop dead. Bang. Look at that little high volume node there, that little, very interesting. And then on the way back down again, we've just seen very little reaction from buyers. We had this little high volume node here on the on this rotational footprint chart, but we're not really seeing any kind of no one's really stepping in yet. It's probably gonna have to come back a bit lower. Anyway, yeah, what you want to kind of see is, you see this, how this is bunching up now. It's less fluid. You're starting to see some resistance against the selling, some support. Sorry. Okay, all right. I'm going to leave it now. It's getting late here. Bedtime. So what we're looking, just to recap, we've had this pushback up. Now we're seeing it pull back. We want to see reaction at these key areas. We're at one of these key areas now. We're at, up at last week's value area. We're starting to see something here. We're starting to see some buying. Also, just to remind you what these little lines are here, if you don't follow me on Twitter, is that they're VWAPs. I find these really useful in the overnight sessions. They're VWAP standard deviation bands. Find them really useful come overnight sessions. Not so much in the RTH session. All right, good night, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't think there's much really to say about all that, but yeah, I'll catch up with you sometime soon. Good luck with your preparations into tomorrow. First day of the year. Don't rush into things. There's plenty of time to sort of make it big. I prefer to focus on small, consistent gains. So yeah, if you've got these big goals going into the new year, that's up to you. But yeah, better not to start the year on the wrong foot. So I wish you all well in your preparations for tomorrow. I'll be putting some things up for you all to sort of look at. What are the things I'll be looking at, depending on what goes on in this session, and the European session tomorrow will be really interesting. So yeah, I hope to join up with you all tomorrow. So I'll leave you now with good night.